The Silent Symphony. A tranquil, isolated cabin nestled deep in the woods, surrounded by towering trees. In the heart of a dense and ancient forest, there stood a cabin that had long been abandoned, a rustic relic of another time, its secrets hidden in the rustling leaves and silent shadows. Cut to a group of 5 friends arriving at the cabin. The Smith family had long heard stories about the enigmatic cabin, hidden away from civilization. In pursuit of a memorable and tranquil retreat, they embarked on a journey into the heart of the woods, seeking an escape from the relentless pace of modern life. They explored the cabin, discovering a room in the basement. As they settled into their newfound refuge, the Smiths discovered a hidden room in the basement of the cabin, one that had escaped their initial scrutiny. In this room, an atmosphere of antiquity hung heavy, like forgotten memories etched into the very walls. The room is adorned with old musical instruments. Amidst the dimly lit room, a collection of ancient musical instruments, adorned with the dust of countless years, waited for a willing hand to bring them back to life. The aged instruments stood as silent witnesses to the passage of time. As night descends, the group decides to play the instruments. As night enveloped the cabin in its inky shroud, and a crisp chill filled the air, the Smiths decided to breathe life into the old instruments. They selected a few of them, instruments that had been neglected and silent for decades. Suddenly, a ghostly presence appears. And then, as they played a haunting and melancholic tune, an eerie transformation began to unfold. The ghostly notes reverberated through the time-worn cabin, and a translucent figure materialized, drawn to the haunting strains of the music. The ghostly figure takes shape as a spectral violinist. The figure, an apparition with the appearance of a violinist from a bygone era, stood before them, his form translucent and his clothing tattered. His eyes held a deep, unfathomable sorrow, as if he had been waiting for this moment for centuries. The friends attempt to flee, but the cabin seems to have a will of its own. As terror seized the Smiths, they attempted to flee the room, but to their profound horror, they found that the cabin appeared to possess a will of its own. Doors and windows refused to budge, as if the very structure of the cabin had conspired to keep them within its grasp. The ghostly violinist plays a mournful symphony. The violinist, with spectral fingers, continued to play a mournful symphony that seemed to resonate within the depths of their souls. Its melody was laced with an undeniable sense of loss and profound anguish, a haunting tune that ensnared their senses and held them captive. Friends began to vanish into the cabin's walls. As the violinist continued to play, one by one, the Smiths were inexorably drawn into the very walls of the cabin. They vanished before each other's eyes, consumed by the structure itself. Their screams of desperation and cries of terror were silenced by the cabin's relentless hunger. Cut to a shot of the last survivor. In the end, only one survivor remained, paralyzed with fear, unable to do anything but watch as their friends were absorbed by the very walls of the cabin, leaving no trace of their existence. Their expressions of terror were etched into the woodwork, haunting testaments to their ill-fated curiosity. The cabin returns to an eerie silence. With the last friend taken, the cabin fell into an eerie silence once more. The ghostly violinist's ephemeral performance ceased, and the cabin seemed to have reverted to the tranquil stillness it had held for years. The cabin bathed in the pale light of the moon. The cabin stood as a silent mausoleum for those who had dared to play the instruments, a dark and enigmatic place where the past and present intertwined in a haunting and eternal dance. The lone survivor, overwhelmed by grief, continues to hear the ghostly symphony. The sole survivor, left in a state of despair and grief, could not escape the haunting memory of that fateful night. The ghostly symphony played on in their mind, a constant reminder of their lost friends and the relentless malevolence of the cabin. Time passes, and the cabin remains untouched. Years passed, and the cabin remained untouched, a cursed relic of the past. Locals knew better than to venture near, and the story of the Silent Symphony became a chilling legend in the area. The legend endures as new visitors are drawn to the cabin. The legend of the cabin and the Silent Symphony endured, and from time to time, curious visitors were drawn to the mysterious place, some seeking answers, while others sought to experience the eerie tale for themselves. In the heart of the woods, the Silent Symphony lingers, a chilling reminder that some secrets are best left undisturbed.